What's going on, traders? It's Mighty Boy back at you again with another trading recap video of the $5,000 small account challenge that I'm doing. It's been about a week and a half so far. Today, as you guys can see, I am right on the day, and that's very, very sad because today we had one of the major opportunities we haven't had in about a month. And I was expecting this. If you guys have seen a couple of videos that I did in the past, like on Monday or Tuesday, I was saying to the people in the chat room or in the videos as well that there's going to be a trade where it's going to blow out a lot of short sales. And unfortunately, I was one of those short sellers who got caught in it. I got squeezed a little bit. I managed to wiggle myself out of it, but the problem is I didn't capitalize and I didn't make money. Yes, I am down about $187 on the day, which is completely fine for me because I average $500, $600 on a day. I made 570 bucks yesterday, so I'm not red per se, but I missed out a big opportunity where I could have banked $5,000, $6,000 on a day. I mean, one of my trading mate, Aaron, right next to me, he banked $5,000. So and the reason for that is a couple of problems, but we'll get right into that in about a minute. First thing first, let's get into the trades one by one, and I'll show you what I traded. So the first thing that I traded was today DPHC. This one here was definitely, it was both of them were long position. I traded that out of frustration. As you can see, my average was at 84.80, which is right here, right at the bottom, right there, 84.80, and then the other one was 25.36. So the reason why that is because I had already located short for this, but I didn't short this 27 area. And from 27 area, it dropped all the way to 24. So I got really frustrated. I missed out $3 per share. I let it go without me. I didn't chase. That's the thing. I don't chase stock that are going down, right? It gave me a little entry point here, but I didn't take that as well. And anyway, I lost about $120 on that, or about $100 on that, which was fine. So I started the day. This was the first trade that I took, and I was already down $100 on the day. So from this $187, lost $100 of it came from DPHC. So I didn't capitalize on that. So it is what it is. I didn't like it, and I was actually thinking about today's quiet and I was gonna go and stuff like that. Just call it a night early. But for some strange reason, I stayed and there was a massive opportunity, and I pretty much screwed that one up in terms of trading execution. So today is a very, very awful day, honestly, because it's not about really the money. It's about the way I traded. The way I executed the trade was 100% a no-no. Like, I shouldn't have traded that way. And I'm fully aware. I have the video recorded, and it seems to me right now I'm picking up it's a pattern of behavior where I'll be down 2,000 and I'll dig myself out. So I need to figure out why at the first place I'm actually down 2,000, and then I force myself to dig myself out of those losses. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So that was the first one. The next one I traded was HQI. This one is the same thing. It went up parabolic. I waited. You see, this is how you should trade. It went up. I didn't touch this part. I shorted that, and then I covered here because it was holding, right? And I made about 50 bucks out of that. The next trade that I did, the holy thing, was SPI. So this thing, I was looking at it. This thing came from literally $1. As you guys can see, this thing was $1.20, right? $1.20, went up, grinded, but it generated massive amount of volume pre-market. So that was a given indication that throughout the day it was going to generate a lot of volume. And as you guys can see right now, it has generated 347 million shares of volume on the day, right? So this thing went pretty much from $1 at the height of right here. It was at $48 per share. So for $1, they pushed it all the way to $48 per share. And as a short seller, this is, if you don't play it right, this is your nightmare. But if you play it right, then this is, you can bank massive on this. You can get paid pretty much a lot of money. Anyway, so the way I traded it was a little bit, you know, a little bit questionable. I mean, when it flat top right there, I had to start a short, but I got out quick because it was holding. Every time it dropped, it got put up. Every time it dropped, they buy it up. So I didn't like that action. That was an indication for me they're not letting this thing fall. They want to push it higher and higher and higher. So when I saw that, I got out for, I lost. So I attempted it to short twice. I lost 195 and then I lost $127 on it, which is completely fine. So by then I was down about 300, 400 bucks on a day. You know, not a great start, and I was starting to get nervous. And then I had another attempt here when I saw weakness right there, and I made about $150 out of that one, which was fine. Now, when I saw that, I was, throughout this in the chat room, I was telling people this thing is going to go to 19, is going to go to 20 plus, right? The reason why I was saying that is I was anticipating this $30 area, as you guys can see here at $30 area, $27, $30 area. I was thinking that would be a resistant level where it's going to run into a hold, because that was the hold level as well. It's going to go into a hold, it's going to get out of hold, it's going to get into a downside hold and open at a lower price. So my strategy was, as you guys can see, I had a very small starter here, very early starter. There was a bit of weakness right there. As soon as it broke 20 and it flashed down, I saw that and I got into that, right? Thinking, okay, 20 might reject as well. But that was a mistake, right? I shouldn't have had any starters at all in this kind of trades. You have to wait until the backside. But even if you waited on the backside on this particular stock, still there was a lot of you know, pitfalls and traps that they really set up for people. Anyway, to any shorts really. So there was a massive, you know, trap for shorts. The reason why I was saying that $30 area would hold at a resistance level, first thing I was looking at the hold levels right here. As you can see, it would show me what the hold levels are. That was one of the things. The other thing is, if you guys remember, MCRB, this is a stock that also run from, as you guys can see, from low $3 areas, it went all the way to $30. Right? So what this one did was it pushed, they kept pushing it, flat top, similar thing. See this flat top? It tries to fold, but they pick it up. They did exactly the same thing here. They did exactly the same thing here. They flat topped it, right? And every time it dips, they buy it up. Every time it dips, they buy it up. That's an indication that this thing is gonna rip. That's why I had to cut. I mean, this was really early. This was at $14, right? If I held from here, I would have been in world of hurt. I would have blown out for sure. So that's why I was okay with cutting it with $200 losses, right? Because as you guys can see, they did the same thing here. They were holding it up, and that's a sign for them to rip it. So they ripped this thing, they pushed it into a halt. There was a halt right there. There was I'm pretty sure a halt right there, and 30, just above $30 halt. That massive candle rejection, and then it didn't look back. All right. So the entry points for this kind of trade is, yeah, you can nibble a little bit you can have a little bit, you know, small amount of share size starter, which I'm starting to realize that is not okay. So originally I thought, you know, if this thing is going to go to 30, if you have a starter, you know, $25, $26 for 100 shares, that's fine. Because when you see the backside, you can add 400 or 500 shares, which are going to bring your average up, and this thing wash out your bank. That was the plan. But those kind of plans are not working, right? So as you guys can see, they ripped it into $30 area. You know, I mean, I'll zoom in a little bit. So they ripped it into $30, halt, just break off $30 halt, out of the halt, smack back down, wash down, all the way to 25. It bounced, but you see this bounce? I was thinking this is another entry point. So this bounce is another entry point, risking that the high, right? Because majority of the time, what happens is even if you guys look at, if you guys go back look at in Kodak, that went to $60 and went to a downside hold, opened. This kind of bounces actually never break the highs, right? They push up and then they fiddle off, right? So that was what was going on. That's what I was thinking of, you know, from past experiences. Once it's in a downside hold, it bounce up, yes, because it's gonna. I mean, this thing halted at 28 and opened. I mean, it went from 33 all the way downside hold 28 and open at 25. So from 33 to 25, a major pullback. So it's bound to have some sort of bounce, right? So that bounce was a short entry point as well. I mean, this is a perfect long and a perfect short into that using that. But what happened today was completely different. So that's what I had in mind. That's why I was implementing my strategy. As you guys can see, I had another ad, right? And then it went up. I had another ad. Now I'm looking at that $30. These are just 100 shares, right? And I had located about 500 or 600 shares of this thing. So I wanted to add a majority of the shares on top as it's washing out. So this thing ran up into hold, opened out of the hold, it washed down, and I was actually up. It was working. My strategy was working. So this part is 100% the same as this thing right here, where out of the hold, opened, run into a downside hold, you know, and then open, and then a little bit of bounce. So this bounces are shorts risking of that, yeah. So that's what I had in mind. And then this thing ended up going. I'm pretty sure, you know, if you zoom out, it ended up going really. I mean, it picked up here, which SPI did as well, but eventually it washed. I mean, if you look at this, is what I'm talking about here, right? It ended up going to $19, so it did wash out to the opening range area, right? So that was what I was looking for. I mean, this thing ended up coming to before aftermarket. They tend to push. You see, aftermarket pushed back to the 20. This thing went all the way to 11.50 and then $20. And this thing, the same thing. It dropped all the way to $19, and then aftermarket it pushed back to above the 20. So a lot of similar moves that are happening, right? So obviously, the way I trade is I look at the past trades, how they executed, and I kind of use that as a reference to execute, right? To execute my trades. As a trader, you're not gonna always make money. Sometimes you're bound to lose money, and that's okay. You're gonna have your bigger winners and bigger losses, and taking a loss is part of the game. What you have to do, what a must as a trader, is when you lose, it shouldn't be just a loss. It should be a lesson. You should figure out what you're doing wrong and fix it so you don't make the same mistakes again. And that's what I'm trying to do. And my mistakes were having these early ads is what really put me in a bad position. Anyway, so I had to add, and then on this I was at $400 and it was working perfectly, just like this, right? This is what I was going for, that $30 rejection and washout downside hold. So it did exactly that. It smacked back down from that $30 range, and I was at 400. I took some profits here, and then when it came up, I added here. The reason why I added was I wasn't thinking it was gonna break this per this, right? And the same if you guys look at KODK, Kodak, and a lot of other stocks that actually go parabolic like this. They don't, after a downside hold, they don't seem to come back and break the highs. The reason why is because a lot of sellers are trapped at the top. Short sellers now have an area they're looking at the short front off of, and also you have to refer to the yearly chart as well. Anyway, so I was at 400. I took a little bit of profit. It came back. I added, but my risk was there. When it broke that, I took half. I took it for a loss right there. I took half for a loss. You guys will be able to see the live trade. And then I got back in again. I added, but it kept pushing, right? It kept pushing. And by then I was holding, and then I added here. You see this pullback? I add the break at 30. All right, I'm still looking at that $30 break at 30 was what I'm really focused on for some reason. So break at 30 into this 30, and I saw this weakness, and I added into that weakness. But I added a major share size in this. I think I was in like 500 shares by the time here. I was in 500 shares. But as soon as I knew this was not going into a downside hold, I got out for quick. But because this thing moves range, that quick loss was about, it's about $1 move. So you gotta eat up about $500 loss, which kind of adds up, right? Anyway, by then I was holding, so I didn't take completely off. I left, so I took off half, and then I took another half. So by then I was holding 100 shares from, average of 30. So my average is around 30. So this thing went up into an upside hold, open with the gap down. That was a really good sign, right? That was a really good sign. What I should have done was I shouldn't have touched any of these. Now this I might have traded it, right? Because I would have been thinking the same thing after this rejection. This would have been a good short area. So I would have been short in here and cutting it if it didn't work would have been completely fine, because the higher it goes as a short seller, the better, because now you get to hit it at a higher price. right? So open with a gap down, pretty much open near my average. It went higher. It pushed in 2 candles from 30 all the way to $48 area, 40, 48, $47 area. And this right here was a lot of accounts blowing, right? That's what pushed it. A lot of liquidations. And then smack back down into a downside hold. Now, what Aaron did that was great is that you gotta wait for all of this to kind of not touch it, don't have average, don't have, I mean, he tried to have an entry here and it got chopped up 500, 600 bucks a couple of times, but that was fine. That's you know, that's part of the reason, because, you know, ultimately they all come down like this, right? I mean, many of them come down like this. So one higher, obviously you have to have a maximum loss risk. For me, I'm used to trading bigger accounts, so I'm having trouble, you know, finding that sweet spot for this account size. So if you guys have any comments how I should improve that, please make sure you comment it below. Right? In terms of my risk management, I'm letting this thing, you know, I'm down $2,000. I'm seeing myself $2,000, right? And I'm getting to think, and you guys are correct. That is not right. That is not a correct way to trade. So any idea? I have an idea how I can prove it, but any idea that you guys have, I'll for sure take it on board. So make sure to comment below. Anyway, it went higher and smacked back down. Now those shares that I took here, so this ad, I thought it was going to be like that. That was the problem. I thought this, because I added major size into this right here, right? I added like 400 shares or something like that. I was hoping that would be this, right? But it wasn't, so I had to cut it. And when this happened, I didn't get the ad. I didn't get to add. Well, Aaron hit it right here at $41. I think his average was $41 per share. So I didn't get to add, right? So if I added there though, I mean, with 100 shares, 500 shares with an average of 35, 30 something, this thing went all the way to $17. From 30 to 17, that's a, you know, $10 plus gain per share. On 500 shares, that's, you know, $7,000, $8,000 profit. But that's not what happened, obviously. The reason why is because as you guys can see, a lot of shorts, right? I was getting chopped all throughout this. That's the problem. So I needed to avoid that. Now that's the lesson I'm taking from this. Avoid any of this. Don't have starter. Only shorten when you see this backside. Shorten to this, right? And if it looks like it's holding, it's going to go up, cut it. Shorter. The higher it goes, the better, because the higher it goes, the harder it's going to fall. It's giving you more profits the higher it goes. Cut your losses quick though, right? So I shouldn't touch any of this. I should have been a short into that. I didn't get to add because I was got chopped up. And then it went to a downside hold, and when it opened from 30 average, I took it around like $21. So I made about $9 per share profit with the whatever shares I had left. And the good thing that I did here is I shorted again in this bounce. Now I know this is the backside. This is the true backside, right? So same thing. It bounced. I was shorting this and covering the bottoms, right? So I shorted here, right, and I covered right here for about $1 per share gain. And then I shorted here, and then I waited, and then I shorted right here at like $29.50. And then I covered as it was dropping to the $22 area. That's another, you know, $9 per share profit, which is pretty good. But that's one candle. This thing is crazy. And then I took half off. I didn't take all of it. I waited, and then I took everything right here. And then I traded it a little bit pre-market, right? Nothing much, just a tiny bit. So yes, I'm not, you know, 200 bucks loss for me is pretty much nothing. But the biggest problem is that this is a kind of trade where I should have been up $8,000, $9,000. I wasn't, and that was a huge opportunity missed. And the problem that the reason why I was having those early starters, the major reason is because a lot of the plays in the last month or so, they pop up and they wash out. They pop up and they wash out. And what happens was the ones that I was, you know, holding back and waiting for them to go higher, they don't go higher. They ended up failing. So what I started doing was I started having earlier, you know, lower and lower starters, right? So I started having, as soon as it pops, I'll have a starter and then I'll have my trade on it. But now what happens is you know, as I said, the market is changing. The volatility feels like, you know, it's reignited. The shorts are a bit more aggressive, which is nice. Now what I'm going to do is when I'm going to short, I'm going to wait this thing to go as high as it goes. I'm not going to touch the front side. I'm only going to short the backside. If backside I see this thing, I'll hit it, right? Risking the highs, right? Don't short at an area where the sky is the limit because you don't know how high this thing can go. But here you have a set risk. Having that set risk to short off of was a good idea. Like right here, for example, if you short into this, risking that, that's good. You cut the loss, let it run. You short it into this, right? You short into this, risking that, and you bank. I mean, if you short this as $42, this thing came all the way to $11. That would have been a $30 per share profit, right? I mean, if you have 1,000 shares, that's a $30,000 profit right there. So that's how you make money. And those are the mistakes that I made. I'm very disappointed in terms of how much I let myself to be, unrealized down on a day. Yes, I managed to trade. I traded this one perfect. I mean, I shorted that, banked, shorted, banked. This is what really, because I was down like $2,000. This is where I made the money. I pretty much recovered the $2,000 from here trading this side. So if I completely avoided any of this bullshit, I would have been up 2,000 anyway. So that's what I need to keep in mind, and I hope you guys learn from that as well. So really be careful on stocks that are volatile. And also, one of the biggest clue giveaway was the pre-market volume. Pre-market volume was crazy. Even if you predict, 10 to 1, you multiply this by 10, this thing was going to generate, 200 million, 300 million volume on a day, right? I mean, if you look at this as well, pre-market, it literally traded a massive amount of shares to, I'm pretty sure, I mean, it traded a really large amount of shares to, I mean, it was 10 million or 20 million pretty much shares traded pre-market. So this kind of things, when they hold up and they don't drop, it's a clear sign they're going to push higher, but you got to wait for the backside if you're a short seller. And if you're long, you got to do that. And right now for me, I'm very excited to start longing. The market is energized. Yes, I've been short selling a lot, and that's been great. But I'm primarily a long trader, so I'm pretty excited. I wanted this to come. This is what I wanted. I wanted the market to get energized because now the next trade I'll be able to take advantage of it. Right? I'll have the cool mentality where I'm gonna stay patient and let it rip. Anyway, guys, I know I went on for too long, but there's a lot of valuable lessons into this. Now you guys will be able to go ahead and watch the live video. But before that, I want you guys to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like the video, and also I'm gonna put a link down below for a Discord. I have a Discord chat room. It's for free. There's no fees or anything like that. You guys will be able to chat with me directly and chat with other people that are in the trading room as well. We all have great ideas. We just share trading ideas and trading lessons. And if you have any question, please make sure you're commented below. Thanks so much, guys, and enjoy the live video. All right, guys, welcome to the live trading part of this video. As you guys can notice right here, I am in 200 shares of SPI with an average of 23.43. I have already lost $161. I'm down $161 on a day, and into this hold, I am down $714 unrealized gains. So the thought process with this trade was I wanted this to go to the 30s, reject the 30-31s, and then go into a downside hold. As you guys can see, I've already located 500 shares for short. So what I was thinking was when it rejects, when I see that backside, I'll be able to add those 300, and then I'll be full size 500 as it was going down to a downside hold, right? And then it opens up with a gap down, and I'll bank. That was the trading mentality at this point. But I was going off of, if you guys remember MCRB, I'll show you the charts right here. This did exactly the same thing where went to the 30s, rejected from the 30s, and then it washed out. So that's the mentality that I had. I was not expecting this is going to go to $48, $50. So again, I had an early starter. This opened up, as you guys can see, I am up $400 on the day. I'm trying to take it with the 200 shares. It didn't give me that ad opportunity, but I'm thinking I'm risking that 28 area, and right now I'm $400 up on the day. So this was the plan that I had. So I covered half. I'm only holding 100 shares now. I'm up on the day. I'm up like $250 on the day. So my risk level is that $30 area, right? That's what I'm looking at the moment. and I'm thinking I can add using that as a risk, and I did not anticipate this could actually break that 30, right? Now it's pulling up. As you guys can see, I am down instantly, 300 shares because I added. I took some profit right at the bottom, but I added another 100 shares, right? Now this is ripping up into an upside hold. As you guys can see, they're selling into that upside hold. What that indicates to me is they're going to push it further. They don't let it go into a halt because it might open with the gap down. So what they do is before it goes into a halt, they sell into it, and then the halt level goes higher, and then they push it higher. Right? That's what I'm looking at. 200 shares for the account size that I have is not really massive. I mean, I'm thinking $10 per share is just going to be, $2,000 loss. And I'm okay with that because I have the ads, so the bullets. So right now, as you guys can see, as it's breaking up the highs here into a hold, I took half, I cut half. I should have gotten all of it, but I cut half. Now I'm only $700 down, $700 down on a day. It's going higher. I'm just holding this, from the 23. Now my plan is I want to see a rejection from this level so I can hit it major size, right? I can go all in, but I want to see a rejection. So I have already cut a little bit of loss. I have $350 down on the day, and I have $600 unrealized gains. So I'm just watching this, waiting for a rejection for me to add into. So I want this to run into a downside hold, because I know when this goes into a downside hold, it's going to open with a $10 gap down, and that's exactly what happened when eventually it went to a downside hold. But they're not letting it hold, as you guys can see. Every time it tries to hold, they sell into it, pushing that hold level higher. Now they're letting it, I think they're going to let it hold here. Nope, they're still not going to let it hold. So this is a sign for me. Now I'm thinking, okay, I can see a little bit of selling here. I can see a little bit of weakness. Maybe I might be able to add into this, right? But those ads, I have to take them off quickly if I'm adding them, because I can't let this rip to $40 in my face. So you guys can see I added. Now I am in 400 shares, but it's ripping up on my face. So I need to, take off quick. So as you guys can see, I got out quickly. Whatever I added, when I knew it was in the backside, I was wrong, I took it off. Right, now I'm only holding 200 shares with an average of 30. Now, this has been a little bit of a problem for me fighting the front side. In the last couple of videos, as you guys can see, there was times where I was down $2,000. If, with a big account, it's fine. If you have a $50,000, $60,000 account, it's fine. With my big account as well, it's fine. I can hold through this because I can add major size on top when it's eventually the backside. This is like nibbling. But for the account size that I have, I'm not getting it through my head that you can't do this with a small account. You can't play like this. Right, as you guys can see, I'm down $2,000 on the day. Already lost 870 and $1,000 unrealized gains. So if you guys have any suggestions how I should improve it, make sure you comment it below. I'll for sure 100% take it on board and try to apply that in the coming weeks, because I cannot have consistent. I just ate up another loss. I took half again. This is pushing, so I'm cutting my losses because I don't want this to blow me out. I'm cutting my losses. I'm down pretty huge on it. So this is definitely a way not to trade. Like, I'm learning from this. I can't be doing this with the small account. It just doesn't work. Trying to use that money, trying to have a little starter, let it run, and you can add major size. When you have a smaller account, and you're playing a stock that is moving major size like this, major range like this, you can't play like that. So if you guys have any suggestions, please hit me up. I'll for sure try to improve it. Guys, please do not trade like this. This is not the right way to trade. But I'm holding because I know this will come down eventually, and it did. I mean, this thing was at some point at $12. It came down to $12. You know what I mean? And my average here is at 30. But the question is, how high would it push before it blows you out? Right, and you don't want to blow out, so that's why you gotta cut your losses as it's going higher. Now at this point, I was looking for a rejection here, but I'm looking at the 48 levels on a yearly chart. That's where the next resistance is. The first resistance was that 30 area, and the next one is at 40. So this is gonna go into an upside hold. I'm still holding the 100 shares. I'm majorly down on it, but you can't take it at this point because the reason why is because as soon as this rejects, it goes into a downside hold. As you guys can see, my account is back almost at $4,000 from that hold. It's indicating it's opening at $25. It's indicating really, really low. So that's a good thing. So this is good. I'm up $400 on it, but the losses that I ate as it was going up, the 1,800 bucks, that's what really got me down. This would have been the perfect adding position if I did not fight the front side. If I did not play it at all, touch it at that front side, what would have happened was I would have hit this with 500 shares into a downside hold, opens $10 later, and then I would have been up $5 grand, right? That's how you should be trading this. So I think patience is what I really need to work on. So downside hold, and I'm also looking at for other sympathy plays to get into, because as I was saying, there will be one that's going to squeeze all the shorts out. Unfortunately, I myself got squeezed on it, which is okay because this is an indication now, the market is being energized, right? I'm just going to fast forward here. I got into another trade, SUNW. It's happening on a side monitor, but that one is a sympathy play. So my average is at 363 for that one. So this one open here, and I want to take this at the low 20s. That's what I have in mind. And SNOW, I was in 300 shares. I already took half, so I'm holding that for major profit. So as you guys can see, I am out. I took half here. And then I took another 25. I'm completely out. So what my trading mate Aaron did was he stayed patient, waited for the backside, and he hit it with size. And he's up like 5 Gs, which is pretty good. So that's what I need to do. Now, after I got out, it washed to the 17, and now it's pulling back again, and now I had another entry point here. But I want to quickly take this off because I don't want this to push to 30 again, yeah? So it went to upside hold, but that's fine because I have 500 shares again. I can add. I know this is the backside. I know how to play this part, right? The problem is, finding the front side is the problem. So as you guys can see, I'm down about $1,200 on a day, which is terrible to lose that much for the account size. It's dropping. I quickly took it there for a little bit of profit. Now I'm only down for $300 profit or something like that. Now I'm only down 800 bucks on the day. So I got back in here again. It went up. I got back in here again at 30. I'm holding it. I want to take this off to that low 20s. So my average is at 29.50 right now. So I want a major wash here for me to cover. So guys, you guys can also play this long. I don't know why I didn't play it, but now tomorrow, so I'm trying. I took some here. I took twice. I'm out. I'm only holding 25 shares here. Yep. Now I'm only holding 13 shares. So I took out, 3 times I took out. From that 30, the bottom I took it was at around 22. Now it's bouncing. I'm only holding 13 shares. It won't really matter. But I'm also holding SUNW 150 shares. So it's coming down here at the 22 areas from that 29.50 average. I mean, if I had stayed patient, I took off the other stock and I'm down only 500 bucks on the day, which is okay because I was down massive. I was up like I think 570 bucks yesterday, so I only gave back yesterday's profits, which is fine because I can make it back tomorrow. But the trading needs to improve. This kind of style of trading just doesn't work on the small account, especially with this kind of plays, right? I mean, there were days where I was up, 1,000, 1,200 and stuff like that, but stuff that is moving with major size, I need to take it. So this is SUNW. This is where I took it. As you guys can see, it shorted that side to the upside, and I added on top, and I took it at the bottom. This is the trading mentality that I had going with for SPI. But the problem with SPI is it pushed further than I thought. All you can do is, apply your strategy. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But I'm one of those traders who's always looking to improve on what is not working for me. And this find the front side is just not working for this account size. So I really need to be aware of that and try to apply a bit of patience for the backside. And if you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to comment it below. I would love to take it on board and apply it. So this thing was halted SPI. I'm holding the 13 shares. And now it's bouncing back up. I was trying to take them out 18, as you can see, 18.27. I had my order, but it's 13 shares, so $1, up or down, 13 bucks, it won't really matter. I can stay patient as long as I want with this, because my average is right at 30. So if it comes up to that area, I would love to short it again anyway. So guys, just be aware, this is not the way to trade, right? Do not fight the front side as I did. The one great thing that I did was I was cutting my losses as it was going up, right? Because I wanted that backside. I had an early start. That's the problem. I had an early start. If I didn't have that early start, things would have been different. But I'm only down 500 bucks, which is completely fine. I'm trying to cover it here. Those 13 shares. So given the fact that I was up, 570 bucks yesterday, being, $540 today, $530, it's completely fine. Survived this trade, but now I'm fully aware that the longs are energized, the market is back. I will love this kind of opportunities for next time, because now I know I can wait longer, I can stay patient longer, knowing that things can push higher, right? So you don't have to have that FOMO early start, right? That early start is pretty much FOMO. You don't want it to, wash out without you, so you have that little bit of start, which comes to bite you in the back. All right, thanks guys. I really appreciate it appreciate you guys for watching the videos. Please, if you haven't, like and subscribe the videos. So it helps me grow the channel. And also, I'll put a Discord link down below if you want to come and trade with me. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. We'll just share, good ideas and trading strategies in the room. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.